Hello geometry students, welcome to our notes on 12-3 arc length and sector area. This is in our circles unit, so I'll go ahead and draw a circle here. And I want to talk about a little bit what arc length and sector area means. We know that an arc is just a piece of the outside of the circle. So if we compare that arc length compared to the whole entire circle going all the way around, which would be the circumference. Okay, so an arc length can be just a piece of my circumference. For sector area, I know that a sector is just a piece of the whole entire circle. Okay, if we think about the area of the whole entire circle, well, a sector area is just a piece of that. So we can compare the sector area of this compared to the area of the whole entire circle. And it turns out that all of that is proportional. There's one big long proportion we can set up here, and we know how to solve proportions, which we use in cross multiplication. I think of this being a piece of pizza. So if we have a pizza, it's going to have pepperoni on it. It's going to have some mushrooms and a lot more toppings. I like my pizza supreme, but for time's sake, that's going to be good. Okay, this would be our sector. And then the crust of the pizza would be the arc. Okay, and again, we're going to find the arc length today. We can find the measure of that arc. It's going to be equal to the measure of the central angle. Let's say, for example, the measure of the central angle is 80. Well, the measure of this arc would also be 80, but I want to find the length. So, like if I took a tape measure and measured the length of this arc, that's what I want to find out. Okay, it's also important that we know the radius. This could be, for example, let's say an 18-inch pizza measuring all the way across. That's how they measure pizzas, the diameter. So this would be then 9 inches for my radius. Okay, here's the proportion. If I compare the measure of this angle, the measure of the central angle, over all of the angles added together we know are 360. That's going to be equal to this arc length compared to going all the way around, like I said, as the circumference. So the measure of the angle over 360 is equal to the arc length over the circumference. I can find circumference by the formula 2 pi r. Okay, that will also be equal to, or also proportional to, the sector area compared to the whole entire area of the pizza. The area of the circle. And I can find that using my formula pi r squared. All right, so this proportion I can set up for each individual thing. I can set up just this central angle and arc length to find the arc length, or I can say the central angle compared to the sector area to find the sector area. Let's do one at a time, okay? So arc length first. I want to find the length of this arc, or the length of my piece of pizza. Well, I can do my measure of the central angle, so I've got 80 over 360, because that's all of them. That's equal to just the arc length over the circumference. Okay, so I can fill in the pieces that I know here. 80 over 360. I want to find out my arc length, so I'm going to call that x. I know my circumference, 2 pi r, 2 times the radius, 2 pi times the radius, so 2 pi times 9. All right, so here's something I'm going to do. I'm going to find my answer in terms of pi, which means I'm not going to multiply pi into my answer. Okay, when I cross multiply 360 times x, and then I'm going to do 80 times 2 times 9. So 80 times 2 times 9 will just be in terms of pi. I'm not multiplying pi in this. So I've got 1440 pi. All right, and then I can divide by 360. So that's going to give me x by itself is 1440 now divided by 360. I'm left with just 4. So 4 pi. Again, in terms of pi, this is what it's called, in terms of pi, because I don't multiply pi into the answer. Okay, I could find an approximate here if I do multiply pi into the answer now. So 4, if I multiply 4 times pi, pi is the button above the division sign, I can get approximately 12.6 to the nearest tenth. To the nearest tenth. Okay, so if the question asks in terms of pi, do not multiply pi in the calculator. If it says in term, it's the nearest tenth, you will then multiply pi in with it. Okay, that was arc length. Now let's look at sector area. Like I said, I can use this proportion kind of leaving out the middle piece. The measure of central angle over 360 is equal to the sector area over the area. So my central angle again was 80 over 360, and that'll be equal to the sector area compared to all of the area. Okay? I can find out those pieces then. 80 over 360. I don't know my sector area, so I'm going to call it x. I know my area, though, is pi r squared, with 9 as my r, so pi 9 squared. Cross multiply, 360 times x is equal to now 80 times pi 9 squared. I don't want to multiply pi in, so 80 times 9 squared is going to get me 6480. So 6480 pi, don't forget your pi. Then divide by 360 again. So if I divide this by 360, that gives me my exact answer, 18 pi. So x is equal to 18 pi, and this is inches squared. I forgot my inches over here because I've got inches for that. So the arc length is inches. Area is always inches squared or units squared, so that's there. And then approximately I can get that if I multiply pi into this now. 18 times pi will give me 56.5 to the nearest tenth inches squared. Okay, once again, in terms of pi or to the nearest tenth, however the question asks for it, you'll see more often in terms of pi, and it's actually easier because you're not having to round or anything like that. You just leave pi in the answer. All right, so again, sector area is compared to the whole entire area. Arc length is compared to all of the arcs, which is the circumference, and it's all proportional. We can cross multiply, and that's how it goes. All right, guys, make sure you fill out your WSQ. Have a good day.